The Gleaming Depths raid is one of the hardest challenges in Fallout 76, but it also gives you some of the best gear in the game, including 4-star legendary mods and a unique set of power armor. So in this video, I will be going over and explaining how to beat every encounter in this raid, to help you get an understanding of what you'll need to do to beat the raid and get some of that raid loot. But before this video starts, if you're a fan of the Fallout games and the Fallout TV show, click the link in the pinned comment of this video to join my Fallout Discord server, where you can find people to play Fallout 76 with, discuss the Fallout TV show, or just talk about anything related to Fallout. The entrance to the Gleaming Depths raid can be found right here on your map in the Ash Heap region. Now, while there isn't a level requirement to enter this raid, I highly suggest being at least level 100 and having some form of a long-range build. You'll also want power armor to make yourself a little tankier, unless your build doesn't use power armor. You'll also want consumables like stim packs, chems, and ammo. And you should find a team, as this raid was intended for 4 players. The first encounter in the Gleaming Depths raid is the EN06 Guardian. This is a robot enemy, so having troubleshooters mods on your armor will help you stay alive in this fight. This is actually a pretty easy boss, but there are 2 ways to beat it. The first method is the intended method. The intended method of beating this boss is to have your team spread out around the arena, where everyone is in a different corner of the room. Or you can split into 2 teams of 2, and both teams will stand on opposite sides of the room. But if all 4 players are standing in different places, it will allow 3 people to do damage instead of 2. Once your team is in position, you'll need to hit the button to start the fight, and the boss will come out of the platform in the middle of the room. Once the boss is activated, you'll want to shoot at the boss until it targets a player on your team, and then starts to shoot them. When this happens, the boss will turn to that target and start shooting, but this will reveal the shield generator on its back that the other players will need to shoot at. This will deal damage to the shield's health bar that will be above the boss's health bar. Now, this boss will do a lot of damage, so if you're the one being targeted by the boss, you'll want to spam your stim packs and use the walls and pillars for cover. But the boss will continue to spin around targeting different players, and the players who aren't being targeted by the boss need to focus on shooting the shield generator on the boss's back. Once the shield's health bar reaches 0, the boss will become crippled and you can start damaging the boss. During this time, the boss won't fight back, but you will have less than a minute to do as much damage as you can. So try to rush to the front of the boss and go for weak point hits to do the most damage possible. During the damage phase, the room will start to heat up. One of the 3 doors on the outside of the room will open and have flashing lights on it. If you don't make it into that room before the room heats up, you will die, but you'll usually have a decent amount of time to get there. So when you see the warning that the room is heating up, don't panic and just get a little bit more damage in and then run to the room. After the room heats up, the door to the safe room will explode and you won't be able to enter that room during the next heat up phase, which means that you'll have 4 damage phases at most to beat this boss, but most teams will be able to do this in 1 to 2 damage phases. But you just repeat the process of tanking the boss's attacks while your teammates damage the shield generator, and then do damage when the shield is down. You should also know that the floor around the boss will be electric and it will do a lot of damage to you if you're standing there. And you will also instantly die if you jump up onto the platform that the boss is on, so you can't use melee builds for this fight. But that is the intended method to beat this boss. The other way to do this boss is by using power armor with the troubleshooters mods on it, and the bullet shield and ricochet perk cards. And then you can just stand out in the open and fire a heavy weapon at the boss to deflect the boss's attacks back at the shield generator until the shield reaches 0. Then you and your team can do damage to the boss. I actually just posted a beginner-friendly build video for this to let new players solo this boss fight for raid loot, so I will put a link to that video in the pinned comment of this video in case you want to use that build for this fight. The next section of this raid is the drill, and this is the encounter in the raid that will ruin most raid runs. It's not exactly hard, and the mechanics for it are very simple, but if people aren't playing their roles properly, and if mistakes are made, you will wipe on this encounter very easily. The drill is the hardest part of the Gleaming Depths raid, so it might take your team a few tries to beat it, but if you beat this encounter, then you shouldn't have any issues with the rest of the raid. For this encounter, you'll need to split your team up into 2 teams. This can be 2 teams of 2, or 1 team of 3 and a team of 1. This will be entirely up to you and your raid team, but you'll want to do this based on the strengths of your teammates, but I prefer to do this with 2 teams of 2. One team will be the runners. This team will be for the teammates that have increased movement speed, lots of AP to sprint with, mutations like Speed Demon and Marsupial to increase mobility, and food items that will regenerate AP like canned coffee. The other team will be the defenders. This team will be for the teammates that can do a lot of damage very quickly to large groups of enemies. They will primarily want heavy weapons with large mags and power armor to be tankier. Once you've sorted out your teams, you'll want the runners to position themselves near the blue doors on the outside of the room, and the defenders will stand near the drill. Then one of the defenders can hit the button to start the encounter. So let's start with the role of the defenders. If you're a defender, your job is to defend the drill. As soon as the encounter starts, mole miners and mole rats will swarm the drill and attack it. Your job is to kill them as quickly as you can and keep them away from the drill. Always prioritize the mole rats when you see them, because they will have landmines on them, which will detonate when they get close to the drill, dealing large amounts of damage. If there aren't any mole rats, then focus on taking out the mole miners. More and more of these enemies will come as the encounter progresses, so be prepared for a long fight. And that's everything that the defenders will have to do. Just keep killing mole miners and mole rats as quickly as you can. And now for the runners. As a runner, you will need to go into the tunnels that are surrounding the drill arena. In these tunnels, you'll be looking for these red fuel canisters. When you find one, pick it up and then bring it right back to the drill and deposit it into this deposit box that will be under the button that was pressed to start the encounter. You'll only be able to carry one of these fuel canisters at a time, so once you have one, you'll need to rush it back to the drill. Don't try to stop and pick up more of them. But you can take note of any of them that you pass on the way back to the drill, so you know where to go to get another one. While you're in the tunnels, you'll be hunted by ultra-genetic mole miner stalkers. You'll want to avoid these as much as possible, as you will not be able to damage or kill them. And if they get close to you, they will be able to one-shot you to instantly kill you and take you out of the fight. This is why runners want some form of consumable that will make them regenerate AP, so they can constantly be sprinting to get away from the stalkers. And that's all that the runners will have to do. Just go into the tunnels, find a fuel canister, bring it back to the drill, and then go out and do it again. To successfully complete this encounter, the runners will need to bring back 15 fuel canisters. They aren't hard to find, but if you want some extra help, you can screenshot this map, which will show you all of the possible fuel canister spawn locations in the tunnels. As a side note, if your defenders are having a hard time defending the drill, try to kill a few enemies every time you bring fuel back to the drill, just to help the defenders get a handle on the enemies. The next encounter in the raid is the Epsilon Squad. This is a much easier encounter and most people will be able to solo this, so we'll just go over the basics. When you enter the room, you'll find shield generators on the left and right sides of the room, in their own separate rooms, and there will be another one on the second floor at the back of the room. Split your team up so that one person is at each shield generator. Then have your hardest hitting teammate act as a floater and stay in the middle of the room. When the fight starts, 3 bosses in Vulcan power armor will come out. They will spawn on the left and right sides and in the middle. Where they spawn will tell you which shield generator is powering their shields. So the boss that spawns on the right will be connected to the shield generator on the right side of the room, and so on. So what you'll have to do is destroy the shield generators by shooting them, and then go and attack the boss connected to it. But it's easier if all 3 shield generators are destroyed at the same time so you can damage all of the bosses. While you're fighting the bosses, iBots will spawn and they will go to the shield generators and start to repair them. When this happens, you'll have to make sure that you kill all of the iBots, then you can go back to damaging the bosses. If a boss becomes immune to damage, that means that iBots have repaired their shield generator. So then you'll need to go to the generator and kill the iBots, then destroy the generator again, then you can go back to damaging the boss. The order that you kill these bosses in really doesn't matter, so either damage all of them at the same time, or as a team pick which ones to target first. This is actually a very easy boss fight, so you shouldn't have too much of an issue with it. The next encounter is the Crystal encounter. Again, this is another easy encounter, it just requires some planning and communication. When you start this encounter, the ultra-genetic mole miner stalker will come out. and again it will be immune to damage, just like the rest of the enemies that will spawn during this fight. To damage them, you will need to lure enemies to the green ultracite crystals that will be all over the arena. When you have a group of enemies close to one of these crystals, you will need to shoot the crystal to blow it up, which will damage the enemies around it. You will have a limited amount of these crystals in the arena, so make sure that you're only blowing them up when you have more than 3 enemies at them. If you're using one crystal to kill one enemy at a time, you will run out of crystals and fail the encounter, so you need to run around and group up enemies. When a crystal is destroyed, it will leave behind a toxic cloud that you don't want to run through as it will damage you, so try to avoid these or jump over them. But seriously, all you'll have to do is shoot at enemies to make them target you, then lure them to a crystal, then shoot the crystal to blow it up and damage the enemies. Every enemy that you kill will remove health from the boss's health bar at the bottom of the screen, and once this health bar is empty, you will complete the encounter. But just know that some of these enemies can hit you very hard and kill you quickly, so try to keep your distance. And the final encounter of the Gleaming Depths raid is the Ultracite Terror, also known as the Snake Boss. This boss will have basic mechanics to it, but this will be your typical bullet sponge type boss. Some of the attacks that this boss will do include a lunge attack where it will come down and hit you, an acid spit attack which can be very deadly, so you'll want to dodge that acid and not step in it when it's on the ground. And it will have a sonic blast attack. This is the big one that you'll want to watch out for because it has the ability to push you off of the platform and into the lava, instantly killing you. So try to stay as close to the center of the platform as possible. During this fight, the boss will also raise its tail out of the lava. When this happens, a second health bar will appear for the tail, and you will need to drop whatever you're doing and focus on killing the tail. If the tail is not killed fast enough, the tail will smash down onto the platform and break off a large chunk of it, making the platform smaller and making it easier for the boss to throw you off of it with that sonic blast attack. So damage the boss until the tail appears, then the tail will become priority number 1. When it comes to damaging the boss, you'll want some hard-hitting long-range weapons, as melee weapons will be impossible to use for this fight. Make sure that you're also aiming for the boss's head to do extra damage, but shooting the boss's eyes will let you do the most damage possible. It's a pretty easy fight, but the boss will have a lot of health, and doing all of that damage is the hardest part of the fight. So this fight will just come down to doing as much damage as you can as quickly as you can, while avoiding being thrown off the platform and killing the boss's tail as fast as you can. And that's everything that you'll need to know to beat the Gleaming Depths raid in Fallout 76. I hope this video helps you, and thank you for watching.